Well, hello, sister. Hello, friend. It is nice to see you again. I am so excited to have you here on another episode of Carbs and Mirror. You're probably wondering what happened in the month of May. Well, I'll give you the whole lowdown of what happened and why I was a bit MIA. Um, and we'll kind of get into it. And so I hope you'll enjoy and stick around for these next few minutes as we talk about falling off track, setbacks, failures, and starting over. So here we go. Yeah, the month of May. Feels like a blink of an eye that it has all of a sudden been here, been, and then gone. Um, so part of what was kind of going on, actually a lot. And a lot of it is even a little bit hard to explain in that because yeah, I feel like it would take way longer than the time that we actually have here. But the lowdown is a year ago, I left a job at my church that I was working at in a position that I was newer in and just feeling like that I was hoping that it was going to be sort of that calling or that purpose or that mission that I was supposed to be on. Um, and so, anyways, um, it didn't turn out to be that way. And I made the decision to step away last year. And so, just realizing a year ago, I was reflecting in that, and it was actually bringing up a lot of emotions. And at the same time, because of that move, I needed to figure out like what was I going to do in this next chapter. And there's been a few things that I've been exploring with, practicing, trying out and stuff, and yet feel like momentum hasn't been as quick as I had hoped. And so I was envisioning myself much further down the path than I'm actually at. Um, but it was bringing up a lot of stuff. And I feel like just even the wiring and makeup of my achiever um, wiring, I guess, and that my achiever personality and that was actually really feeling the struggle of not actually being able to check things off the box and feeling like progress was happening at a quick enough pace. The other thing was, I was really struggling with my mindset and noticing a lot of thoughts from my past and even past behaviors and that were starting to show up. And so also dealing with that, shadows were coming up in that in terms of personality and things that I actually wasn't quite ready to recognize. But because of the journey I've been on, it was time to actually start to deal with them, which is always very challenging and emotionally draining. So those were things that were happening. And the other piece would be, as many of you know, I've shared quite a bit just about that I'm on this health journey, and it's been 2 years of me trying to get healthier and you know redefining what health and beauty looks like in that without sort of the shame and the blame and guilt and judgment, which is the purpose of this of these segments in that. But I was coming up against sort of that imposter syndrome, right? Like, I don't know if any of you are familiar with syndrome, and that it's actually where you feel that you are not qualified, or you don't have any expertise or even the permission that you should be sharing on something that you're not fully equipped to, right? And so these episodes and that, like as I've shared before, I'm not a healthcare practitioner. I'm just somebody who has been on a journey and shares what I've been learning through this journey. And so there are parts of me that was feeling like I didn't have the qualifications to be creating videos and telling you what you should and shouldn't be doing, or the things that I've been learning. And part of that is even, um, my winter this year was actually very challenging in terms of relationships. And so I was dealing with a lot of emotions, and the way that I normally help to deal with with emotions is eating. I've always found comfort in emotional eating. And so as a result of some of these very trying and challenging relational situations, in that I found myself back in old habits and doing things that, it's that your mind says for you to do something, and then your heart knows that you shouldn't be doing something, and you end up, you know, chocolate ends up winning every time. So, anyways, I started to put back on some weight. And so, again, I was feeling like, one, I was letting down people. And two, and that just kind of feeling like, who am I to be somebody sharing, what defines healthy and what defines beauty in that, because I was actually going backwards, right? And that's sort of where I was feeling. And so yeah, so I kind of needed the time to step back and just reconfigure my mindset, especially around why I've been on this journey and why I've been sharing about all the different things on my journey. And just even at the same time, like, why wasn't I sharing as I have been slowly falling on off track? And so one of the things that I found during some reading that I've been doing was this thing called the disease of me. And it's really about just where, I mean, the definition that the book had said was where you can corrupt the most innocent climb. So, climb meaning, the progress, and that is how I'm interpreting it. And the corruption in that is actually, for myself, is allowing my ego to think that it was embarrassing, or that it was a failure, or that I was letting somebody down, because I was on this progress of doing better and becoming healthier. And then all of a sudden, that slip up, or that, off track or setback, and that has now caused me to feel like it would be hypocritical for me to hop on here and say that. And it also at the same time put me into hiding and sort of avoiding, um, and then trying to fix it on my own, sort of without any help. And I realized that the 2 years of my journey that I've been on actually has been, um, the success of it has been actually not doing it by myself, and has been coming to grips with realizing that, there's parts that I can't do it on my own, that there shouldn't be shame around not being able to, deal with certain emotions by myself, and that, right? Like, we're all human, and we can easily falter. And so I was reverting back to becoming a bit of a hermit, and allowing the shame and the guilt to stew in my head. Um, and then I also had realized I had allowed my progress to represent my value as a human being, which is, in reality, in that, the progress in that should never define who you are, especially your size or your shape of your body. But I had allowed that. And it was this narrative that has been so ingrained in me that I, at the time, didn't know how to deal with, and I didn't know how to undo and stuff. So Yeah, and so anyway, so I was just really learning how I had placed a lot of value in the outcome of my journey, as opposed to realizing that the efforts that I've been making, regardless of the results being good or bad, right, is enough. It's enough for me to recognize that I have been making progress. I have been learning to love myself more. I have been growing my confidence. I've been doing all these things in that. And at the same time, it doesn't matter if I succeeded or if I failed in that. The fact that I was doing it is enough. I really love this quote that John Wooden had defined success, um, and how he says it is: a success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to do your very best to become the best that you are capable of becoming. Right? Like, I love that because it has nothing to do with achieving a goal or earning a reward or looking a certain size or losing a certain amount of weight in that. It's about your efforts to do your very best in that. So I've come to learn that, failure or being sidetracked or, any setbacks are part of the course. Um, that it's normal, right? Like it's just one of those things that um I think so many of us, especially myself and that, um, based on my upbringing, success was definitely more stressed, um, in terms of achievement as opposed to speaking about failure. And so it has been this piece that I have been battling against, and I will continue to battle against, and it's okay, right? Like I know it has helped me in certain things. It has given me the drive and motivation to accomplish things, but at the same time, and that it can also be, it's that double-edged sword, and that, right? It's something I need to learn, that it's okay to fail and that it is part of the journey. Um, I also really love this quote, and that it says, "He or she who will do anything to avoid failure will almost certainly do something worthy of a failure." Right? So, meaning the more we try to avoid failing, the more it will be inevitable. And so, coming to grips with that is a huge piece of self-awareness and just the journey of self-growth. Um, the one piece that I will say, the only way you truly fail is if you get off the course, right? Like if you jump ship and no longer try to move forward again, if you abandon your principles and your efforts, then you have truly failed. And so, yeah, I think it's learning to take one step at a time. Literally, it's one foot in front of the other. You don't have to see the entire path on how to get there. It is just seeing enough in front of you to place that next foot, kind of thing, right? And so, yeah, I think what I've learned and what I've taken away is that it's going back to the principles and the best practices and habits that got me to where I was. And I know that I can get back to where that is. I have the tools. I now have a better mindset. And so I know for sure that we can get back on track. So, if you find yourself off track or you've had a setback or a failure in that, just know that it is part of the course. And I'll leave you with this quote: "People learn from their failures. Seldom do they learn anything from success." And that's by Harold Geenan. And I think that is a really great reminder, because most of us learn more from when we fail than when we've actually succeeded. So until next time, just remember I'm cheering you on because I believe in you. And if you enjoyed today's content, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you will be notified when a new episode is launched. And that thank you so much for joining myself and for joining the entire Igniting community. We're so grateful for you. And so I can't wait to hang out with you on another episode of Carbs and Mirrors. If you want to personally connect and to keep the conversation going, feel free to connect with me on Instagram at ms.alicia.ha or email at carbsandmirrors@gmail.com. Take care.